So the topic for the month of June 2012 is the ultimate blunder. Ultimate blunder is a situation where somebody resigns in a winning position. We're going to go over about 40 positions this month, and those situations are, of course, very rare that somebody at a top-level game would resign in a position that he has a win. So we start with this position. This was Italian Championship 1954. We don't know who the players are, but in this position, Black was so shocked by the white queen sacrifice on h7 that he immediately resigned, prematurely, of course. So your task is to figure out what Black could have done to win from this position. This has all the hallmarks of a great looking move, but objectively it is not good. It doesn't win. As a matter of fact, it loses. Black resigned prematurely in this position when he could have won. So your task is to figure out what Black could have played to win from this position.
Well, obviously he has to take the queen.
Yeah, you gotta take it.
That's absolute force,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
because if he doesn't, e7 checkmate,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So he has to take the queen. But of course he saw it too, right?
Yeah.
But then white has pawn f8 check with queen, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're trying to solve the puzzle from this position without moving any pieces, because that's what happened with Black. He resigned without going through the moves, and sometimes that's a mistake. Even though the moves may look very obvious, it's a good idea to go through the moves anyway. That way you're guaranteed not to miss anything. If you try to calculate everything in your mind, you might miss something, and you're gonna regret it. And it's such an important game too. So see if you can see everything through from this position, Black to play and win. Okay, so
Okay.
what did Black miscalculate here? Should we make the moves? But really, for your own betterment, I would rather not make the moves and try to calculate everything through.
Well, it's, I think it's forced, unless I'm.
This is absolutely forced. Let's actually make the moves.
Yeah.
Then-
Okay, then he makes a queen.
White queen's f7 pawn will
Okay,
be
it's not a
discovered check.
Oh, it is check, yes.
Discovered check.
Check to the walk, yeah.
So what is Black's only move?
King Jesus.
Well, King g6, very good.
Yeah.
So white calculated that, oh, next I'm gonna give it a check over here. King f5 or h5, rook takes queen check, followed by queen takes that rook. And white is winning. That's what he calculated. But he missed something. What did he miss?
Oh, okay. Yeah, because the rook is on the queen.
King H6.
On
Yeah, the-
exactly on rook
Yeah,
g7,
he's gonna
king
go
h6,
h6.
king actually walking into this discovered
Yeah,
check.
yeah.
But the point is, if rook takes black queen,
Rook takes-
then rook takes white queen.
Yeah,
and this is where white miscalculated.
yeah.
And so did Black. That's why Black resigned. He missed this move because normally you don't walk into a discovery. But in this case, that is the best move. Okay, so here's our next position. This was also a top-level game, playing in Volk against Oswald, played 1954. White has just played rook e5, f5. What kind of tactical theme is? Deflection. Trying to get the queen away. And of course, if the queen goes away, queen takes pawn. So Black pretty much has to play something like queen h6 in order to guard everything. But then White has rook takes f7, and Black has no good response. Or rook takes g7 next. So in this position, Black resigned. And of course, queen h4 fails to g3. And after queen h3, queen takes g7. And Black king is on the run. So black saw this and resigned when he could have won. So your task is to figure out what should black have played in order to win this now. Rook d1,
Yeah.
okay, and after bishop takes,
The other
Rook
rook
takes
takes.
bishop.
the other rook takes, and after
Threatening
rook
me.
takes
so-
rook,
Queen takes.
Queen takes
queen
rook.
takes this rook,
Yeah,
and black can trade queens and be an exchange ahead.
that's true.
It's a good chance he's gonna win the
Yeah,
game
probably
Yeah.
will win anyway.
Yeah.
because
Work against bishop.
he's behind exchange and it's not enough for
Yeah.
black. So that doesn't quite work.
Close.
So black to play and win, he has a different approach.
Okay. Rook e4.
Rook e4, immediate mate threat.
Yeah.
Yes, his queen is under attack, but white has to deal with
It's
this
a better
first.
threat, yeah.
Rook e4. And how can white react to this?
His work takes rook.
The pin is broken, so he's,
Rook takes rook, fails to what?
queen takes, no.
Queen
rook
A1.
has to be
Queen
A1.
a1,
Yeah, A1,
leading to
yeah.
checkmate.
Yeah.
So that's not possible. What else? But when you have back rank weakness, you gotta watch out for unusual Sushi and Zouk moves. And black beautifully took advantage of it. He could have taken advantage of it by playing rook here. Unfortunately, black resigned prematurely. That was the winning move for black that he missed. Okay guys, here's the next position. This was played in Budapest 1955. Players of white, Negussi against Hanfi. A case of mutual blindness based on the overburdening of the knight on c3. In this position, black played queen takes a2 check. Thinking that knight has to guard this square against checkmate with the rook, right? So on this check, if knight takes, rook d1 mate. And of course, king cannot take. So white resigned. Where did white miscalculate?
He steps to,
So the knight goes back to c1.
yeah. Yeah, and that goes back to B1.
It goes back to c1. That's what he overlooked.
Yeah.
You might say this is a gross blunder for a top level player,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's exactly what happened.
yeah.
And what if he had played rook to d1?
Instead,
Yeah.
on rook d1 check first, white only has one response, obviously.
He's got to
That's
take
a whole rook. It takes.
Yeah, but now he can walk, yeah.
Right, you can walk away.
Yeah.
That's check, king c1.
Yeah, he just
And the
walks.
b2 pawn is also guarded, no
Yeah.
mate threat, and white just won a whole rook. That should win the game for him. So neither move order, queen takes pawn or rook d1 works. So, but would you believe that white overlooked knight coming back to c1 and blocking the check?
And he resigned at which, after taking the pawn?
After queen takes a2, white resigned. Sometimes a shock of a surprise move is so devastating that it makes your opponent resign even without going through the moves. Let's say he miscalculated and he felt like he thought knight takes queen is not playable, which is perfectly playable.
Yeah,
After king c1,
yeah,
then he's got this check.
yeah. He interpose. You're gonna have some trouble.
Knight here in a pose,
Yeah, he's gotta give the rook up.
and then what?
Knight E2.
No, now queen takes knight.
Knight a2, he goes up. Now queen takes
Oh,
knight.
queen takes knight wins, yes, it does, yeah.
What kind of sacrifice is this? Sacrificial theme.
Oh, decoy.
It's a decoy.
Decoy, yeah.
Come here to the poisonous square.
Yeah.
So after the king takes, this is
Yeah.
a terribly poisonous square for the white king because of checkmate.
Yeah, so that doesn't work at all, yeah.
Right. So, right, like you said, knight takes queen was good enough, winning the game. This next position is from players named Rudenko as white against Rutari as black, USSR 1956. I'll read you the comment here. It says, in her winning position, black saw an immediate decision and played b2.
Mm.
white, the women world champion from 1950 to 1953, Rudenko, resigned because she figured bishop takes a2, rook c1, and that's time to resign. So white miscalculated. White could have won this position. What did he overlook? So I'll go back to the original position. Here's the position. Black just played b2. Again, white made the famous mistake of not going through the moves, even though they look pretty obvious. And from this position, white resigned when she could have won.
So, by rook to f1,
Okay, bishop takes here, rook c1, rook f1. That's what she overlooked. And of course, if rook a1, now what?
so bishop to b1.
Bishop b1. And it's just a matter of time. White gets the king to this pawn and win this pawn and win the game. Look pretty obvious now, doesn't it? Okay, here's our next position from the Ultimate Blunder article. Now as we get closer to the 20th century, you're going to recognize some of the names. In this position, a player named Sanguinetti as white, Najdorf as black, Mar del Plata 1956. Very famous tournament. As you know, it was this tournament that made the variation Mar del Plata and King's Indian Defense classical variation. There's a variation in King's Indian Classical with knights on c3 and f3 that's called Mar del Plata variation. It was in this tournament then because that variation happened several times. So they called it Mar del Plata variation. So here, black is a famous player, Miguel Najdorf, who has a variation, a major variation of Sicilian defense under his name. Here, in this position, white could have won with queen g8 check. The point being that if bishop f7, then queen d8, and the next move is checkmate no matter what. If rook takes this pawn, queen d7. If rook takes this pawn, queen d6. If bishop moves, let's say bishop back to g6, queen d7 mate. So no matter what white does, it's mate. Therefore, bishop g7 is not a good move for black. What can black do though? If king e7, queen takes bishop, and white should win this. Just win a full piece, and he's as a rook, queen against rook. And this is a tough ending, but white is the favorite to win this. However, instead of queen g8 check, white saw an even quicker way to win, and he played king d8. Looks like a very quiet, nice, powerful move, except there's a tactical flaw with this move. So white didn't see any way out. He resigned when he could have won. How could
You mean black?
I mean black? How could black to play win from this position?
If rook takes g4, then the king can retreat to f5. He's no longer trapped with the check at e7.
Everybody agrees with it?
At least you have an escape square.
He's actually, if he could get his king out of the way, he can play rook
Well,
down,
what
rook
about
e8,
d? Oh, the pawns are going the other way.
Rook d4 doesn't work because queen e7 mate.
They still made.
Yes, it makes.
But what about rook takes g4?
Yeah, and then see you have an escape square.
He's got escape in his square, and he should win because he's got so much material. 5 pawns and a rook and a bishop against the queen and a pawn. And there's a good chance this pawn is going to fall too. So that's what black missed. That's what actually white missed and resigned prematurely.
Wow.
So this is the position that white to play, and after black's rook d2, white felt like his position is hopeless, because if the bishop moves, rook takes g2, and this looks really hopeless. And white resigned when he had a win. Another case of mutual blindness.
Could you,
Rook c8,
Yeah,
and if rook takes f2,
yeah.
here comes a beautiful queen
Oh, Vicky
sacrifice.
made from that way, yeah.
This next position, player of white is someone named Darga, and black Lengil. Amsterdam Interzonal tournaments used to be qualifying tournaments for the World Championship title. Amsterdam Interzonal 1964. Black played rook 6, capture e2 check, and white resigned.
No, I can see.
Well,
this
what
one,
is
yeah.
this? What did he resign for?
Because he figured rook takes,
Yeah.
bishop check,
Yeah,
king g2, rook takes rook, black is a piece up.
yeah.
But he just takes the rook.
Where did he miscalculate? Right. He takes the rook and then bishop h4 check.
Yeah.
And rook,
Oh,
king
oh.
g2, rook takes rook.
No, but he goes king e3.
He goes king e3.
Yeah.
That's the point. See, e3 square right now in this position is not available to white king. But after rook takes
Yeah.
e2, rook takes e2, it's available. And you see, the grandmaster could make mistakes like this. Everybody else could make it too. So that's what he miscalculated. So here's our next position. The players are Langweg, who's a grandmaster, against Krabbe, who was an IM. This was played in Zurichsee 1967 Netherlands Championship. Seeing nothing against queen takes f7, black resigned. Later, a player named Kurt Richter showed in the Deutsche Schützenzug that he could have drawn with rook c2. Because if queen takes f7, queen f2 check, followed by queen h2 mate. And if rook f1 to stop queen f2, rook c1. And black has perpetual check. But over 30 years later, in his book, The Letzfeller, Klaus Trautmann showed that black could even have won this position. Black to play and win from this position. In the position that black resigned prematurely, he could have won. So what do you think black should have played?
Why can't he play bishop e8?
Well, bishop e8, there's a queen e6
Yeah.
with a checkmate coming.
Oh, yeah, you can't, oh.
Yeah.
And if rook takes f5,
Yeah.
queen g8
That's
mate.
mate, but he can play rook f8.
On rook f8,
Yeah.
then he plays
He's
queen.
got trouble, yeah. that's-
He's got
Well,
queen
no, it's
e-
okay, the queen holds it. Yeah.
There's a bishop here.
Oh, yeah. Rook e8, so the queen doesn't hold it, that's right.
Well, in this position, if black plays on bishop e8,
Yeah.
white has here, and
Yeah.
then rook f8, queen here
Yeah.
with a double threat,
Yeah, it's,
and white should win.
yeah,
So
that's not gonna be good.
black to play and win in this hopeless looking position. So the winning combination that black overlooked was rook c2.
Yeah.
And we said rook f1, pretty much forced move to guard this square, right?
Yeah. Queen d2,
Queen d2.
yeah. But the
And-
queen just protects, that one way or the rook. Oh, wait a minute, that's not so easy.
Maybe you're threatening mate h2, right?
And if rook
Oh,
g2
we
to
protect
stop the
it.
mate,
Yeah, he protects it that way.
black plays queen to g2, queen takes, rook takes, king takes, bishop takes a4, and black has a pass pawn on the a file, and black should win. Here's another variation. So if he doesn't play rook g2, let's see what else white could play in this position. What about rook h3?
Yeah, I could do that too.
On rook h3, how does black win? Simply bishop takes a4.
Same thing.
White cannot abandon when the rook can abandon this square. And rook h3 really is not creating any threats. There's a traitor pawn over here that is actually helping the black king. And after bishop a4, let's say white plays king h1 with the idea of rook g1. On king h1, black would go back and play bishop e8, guarding the rook. And on rook g1, rook e7. And now everything is guarded in black's camp. And on queen f6, that's a very nice move, isn't it? Black to play and win even with this good looking move.
Oh, you can't just take the queen?
No, because it's mate at g8.
Oh, look at there.
Black to play and win in this sharp, very sharp position.
Let's take a look.
Well, queen to g2.
Here you go. Queen g2. White's only move is rook takes, and then
Rook check.
rook check. The only move rook g1, rook takes, king takes, pawn takes f6 now. And black still has a passed a pawn.
Yeah.
That's a winning position for black. In this position, the player of white is W. Schmidt, black Kwansinski. This was played in Poland Championship 1969. White played bishop takes d4 in this position. Whereupon black, instead of remembering that important maxim, Putzer sees an adjournment, Putzer gives an adjournment, resigned. You see, this was move 41, and black could have adjourned the game at this point. After move 40, you can adjourn the game.
Yeah.
We had this option back in the up to 80s and 90s when there were no strong computers. Adjournment is not a case these days. We can't adjourn the game because of cheating and possibility of
But he
getting
would have had
from
to seal the
computers.
move.
Black could
anyway.
have sealed the move,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But he still had to find the right move.
yeah.
So instead, he felt like this was hopeless, and he resigned. Black, when he could have won. So black to play and win in this position.
Well, can you get a check at H3?
Sometime, for lack of anything better, you go with the most obvious moves. You the famous saying, Patzer sees a check, Patzer gives a check.
Yeah,
He could have done even better. He could have adjourned.
yeah.
But he could have gone with the most obvious and sealed the most obvious move.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, should have too, yeah, why not?
what's the winning continuation? I mean, everything through, not just one move.
Queen check, and then bishop takes bishop.
Oh, okay, I see it.
No.
Yeah,
No.
queen check on H3.
No.
Remember, on bishop takes bishop,
Oh,
white
no,
has
it's a
queen
check.
takes
No,
check.
but yeah, but the queen isn't gonna be there because we're gonna play rook check on F1.
Yeah.
Aha.
First, queen check,
Queen check,
king G, king force,
the only move.
rook check on F1.
Exactly. What kind of sacrificial theme
That's
is
a
rook F1
point
check?
or something, is it, or?
Deflection, you're deflecting the queen away
Yeah.
from the bishop.
Deflection. It's a perfect example of deflect. White's move is forced,
Yeah.
which means deflecting the queen from guarding the d4 bishop.
Yeah.
So rook F1 check.
Yeah.
So the only move, then what move?
Bishop takes.
Bishop takes F2 check. So what is white's only move?
Interpose
Rook
rook,
F2.
yeah.
Rook F2. And can black win from here?
Plus two.
Yeah, queen takes G pawn.
Queen takes G pawn. What is white's only move?
King in the corner.
No, bishop two.
He
He has to
can
move the
interpose
bishop to G2.
He can interpose bishop,
He has to
He
move
has
the bishop
to.
to G2,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
The problem with queen G2 is what? Black wins the whole rook,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So bishop G2. And black to play, how does he win in this position?
Bishop B7.
The other bishop.
Or bishop H3, one.
Yeah, bishop H3 because the rook's pinned.
Yeah,
Bishop H3,
yeah.
and this should win.
Well, he can't do anything.
It's
Everything
almost
is-
stalemate, yeah. Yeah.
All he can do
well,
is push a pawn.
he can- Yeah.
If he moves the king, lose the whole rook.
Yeah,
Well, rook for a bishop.
yeah.
And what else can he do? He pushes the c pawn or this pawn, doesn't matter. How does black win here? Bishop takes bishop,
Yeah.
queen takes,
Queen takes, it's pinned.
picking
yeah.
up,
Yeah. Bishop takes check.
picking up the whole rook,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and black should win. Okay, the players in this position are Havasi as a white against Rico, Bucharest, 1976. In this position, black resigned, missing a deep but entirely forced win with a well-known breakthrough. So black resigned in a winning position. How could he have won?
Oh.
When we're talking about pawn breakthrough,
Yeah.
what are we talking about? Unusual pawn moves that decides the
Yeah.
game pretty much, or a fantastic
Okay.
assessment of the changing assessment of the position.
Got A4.
A4.
Start with A4.
Okay, white's move is pretty much
He's
forced
pretty much
because
got to take it, yeah.
black is threatening A3.
Yeah, he's
He's
got
gonna
to
pass
take
it. So white has to take.
Okay,
And
now
now
you
what?
play, now you play B3.
Okay.
No, oh, wait a minute, that's wrong. Play the C pawn first.
Okay. But the trouble is on C4, white plays B3,
Okay,
and white wins
Yeah.
because of this passing.
yeah,
So there's a little bit tricky.
yes.
The move order makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
So it's C4 first.
It's on B2.
Right.
Yeah.
So C4 first.
So what are you suggesting, Mike?
C4.
C4? Okay. First of all, can white afford to ignore this?
No.
Why not? Let's say king
Well,
G3.
because he's pushing to C3. Yeah. He pushes to C3. Well, no, that doesn't do it either, does it?
Not
No,
because
no,
of
he can
C3.
play
No,
A4.
because he can just take.
Yeah,
He can play
He plays A4,
Right.
threatening A3.
yeah.
So white must capture on A4.
Yeah.
And how does black win in this position? Of course, this king is here. Well, king came to G3.
He plays B3.
B3.
B3, yeah.
Very good. And if pawn takes B3,
Then you take.
Push, pawn to
you
pawn to
push, yeah.
C3.
You just push, yeah.
pawn C3,
You
Yeah.
just push, yeah.
and the pawn will queen, whether
Yeah, the
white
king's
takes it or not.
yeah.
King is outside the square, the pawn.
Yeah.
Very good. So let's play a little bit tougher continuation.
Pawn on B4, yeah.
So on C4,
Okay, C4 here.
The king's still at H3?
king still on H3.
Yeah.
Correct move is C4 by black. Beautiful pawn sacrifice, pawn breakthrough. And even though number of pawns are equal, 5 against 5, there are situations, thanks to these white's double pawns, which is a weakness, that the other side is able to do something and actually create a passive.
So he has to
D
take with
takes,
the D
D
pawn.
takes C, D takes C.
It has
Okay.
to, D has to take C.
So on D takes C4,
Yeah.
how does black win?
With A4.
Now A4.
A4,
Okay, that's right.
threatening A3.
Yeah,
So white must take.
yeah.
And then,
B3.
and then B3,
Yeah,
and of course,
It makes
pawn
sense.
takes, pawn
Yeah.
push, and the pawn will
Yeah.
win. So, did you look at both variations?
That is tricky.
Yeah.
On C4,
if he takes with the B pawn.
if he takes with the B pawn,
Just
A4.
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 Yeah, that's
So
unstoppable, yeah.
that wins
Yeah.
too. So
Now
when a
can-
white takes, and if white doesn't take,
Yeah.
and if white doesn't take at all,
Then A4
Now,
anyway.
let me ask you something, because if the black king has to go back and stop that C4 pawn, which it can, because it's inside the square of the box, okay?
right,
Then G can start pushing, and you have the G and the H pawns against that single pawn. Who's gonna queen first? You have to figure it out. It's very close.
right. Actually, in the longest variation, which is the most exciting one, it's a question of queen against queen. Both sides bring a queen.
Gotcha.
Really?
And the line goes like this. C4, B takes C4. This line is very tricky.
Yeah.
A4,
C5.
Oh, he just pushes. it.
C5.
Yeah.
Now, king's gotta go F6.
well,
That doesn't help. though.
Or you want queen first?
by queen first.
Yeah.
A3,
C6.
pawn takes, pawn
Pawn
takes.
Yeah.
He will queen first.
Now,
Then C6,
Yeah.
A2,
A2,
C7,
C7,
A1 queen,
A1 queen,
C8 queen.
C8 queens.
Aha!
Now again gets a lot more interesting. So from pawn ending it transposed into a queen and pawn ending.
Yeah. You're gonna pick up a lot of pawns.
Well, black's first.
Okay, who does it favor now?
Well, black's got the move.
Black's
so-
gotta be. much
Black
better.
has the first check,
Yeah,
so that makes a big difference. Queen F1 check,
yeah.
King G3, Queen F4 check, King H3,
Yeah.
King G3, King G2 also Queen takes pawn check.
Yeah.
So King H3, Queen F3 check,
Oh, really?
King H2, Queen F2 check,
Oh.
King H3. He wants to pick up the pawn, G pawn with check.
He could have. before.
Queen H4 check,
Okay,
King G2, Queen takes G4 check.
okay.
Now, if queen takes queen, he loses.
Queen takes, King takes, and who wins this ending?
Black easel, no, does he? Let's see. Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Black
Black
wins.
wins, yeah.
Even though white has a pawn majority on this
Yeah.
side, the moment he pushes this pawn,
Yeah, he's dead.
two
yeah.
squares, for example, en passant, and this pawn wins faster.
Yeah.
And of course, this pawn is doomed, and black is going to win this ending.
Sure.
Complicated, very complicated
Wow.
line.
Yeah.
But C4 was such
Why
a
didn't
beautiful
he
double.
take the white?
The players here are Zin as white against Sairi, This was played in Dresden, Germany, 1977. Another case of mutual blindness. Black, a rook up, but faced with a nasty mating threat, Queen E8 checkmate, could have won in this position.
Where's Black's coin? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, down the corner.
So in this position, in order to stop the checkmate, Black played King F7, double question mark move. And now it's White turn to resign. White should have gone with repetition, perpetual check. Instead, White saw something cute and he played Bishop E8 check question mark. And after King E7, White played Bishop C6.
Okay.
And to crown it all, Black resigned.
Oh, he was winning here. I could see this.
Black
one.
still has a win
Yeah, I see it.
in this position. Instead of resigning at this point, Black to play and win. So how could White have?
Bishop B7.
No, he's on the
Bishop
rook.
E7 fails to check.
Yeah,
You see, White is threatening checkmate and attacking the rook.
yeah.
Bishop E7 fails to queen check, and Black loses the bishop on B7. But Black to play and win in this position, how could he have done it? Did you find already?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's give a chance to everybody else also. Instead of resigning, Black could have won. A case of ultimate blunder.
Oh, Queen D1.
Yeah, that's right. Queen
That's
D1
right.
check. Yeah,
There's a discovered attack on the white queen.
Yeah.
Only this bishop could move out with a check.
trouble is though, he can go to King C3. I'll just not.
And on king c3,
Yeah.
what
Queen
does
takes
Black
pawn.
do?
Queen
Oh, you
takes
take the
pawn
pawn.
check.
You could check,
Queen
keep
takes
it up,
C2.
same like, yeah, just pursue.
Suicidal queen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And on king d4,
yeah.
Queen to D6,
Queen
D3.
Queen
queen
E4.
e3.
Oh, queen
We
E3 is good,
insist
yeah.
on
That's
sacrifice
better.
that.
Yeah.
This time he has to take
You gotta
it.
beat
Bishop's
him,
a
yeah.
value. Yeah, it's a
And he goes to light square,
Yeah.
and then bishop check,
Discover,
and then
yeah.
take the queen.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
Suicide.
Suicide Queen.
Suicidal queen.
Yeah.
Usually we have suicidal rook in
Uh.
a stalemate situations. It's very rare to have a queen. In this case, it's not a stalemate case, but still the idea is to win, and that's what he has.
That's a very nice idea.
Hope you guys enjoyed it.